listening to the Flickcast, a podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and joining me, of course, my good friend, Joe Dilworth. How are you, Joe?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. I don't want you to think I forgot your name for a second, because our good friend, what's his name?
It's that dramatic pause.
It's right, dramatic pause for effect, because this is, although in number, our 500th episode, it is technically not our 500th episode, because it was somewhere along the way, the numbering got redone somehow. So it's probably more like episode 470 something, maybe. But still, 500 is a good number, so we're going to call this the 500th. So congratulations to you. Well done.
Same to you. You've been here for all of them.
I've been here for all, except for a couple when you did it all yourself.
Oh, that's true. I've been here for a lot of them, but I didn't start off.
No, that's true.
That's okay.
And I was trying to think of something to do, special. But I think the most special thing we could do is just continue the fine tradition of talking about nerdy stuff that we always do. And on that note, we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. We're going to talk about all the Marvel and other shit from the D23 convention, which is happening right now as we record this on September 11th. I don't want to be down, but yeah. And then maybe some She-Hulk, maybe some whatever else, and maybe some picks. I don't know, but. Do you want to dive right in with D23 and talk about some Marvel announcements? We don't have to get too deep into it because there's going to be a lot of shit happening over the next few years. But
we can run that down.
Some good revelations, if you will. Revelation 7:12.
We can talk about what we've heard about all the trailers that no one has seen outside of D23, but that's okay.
Right. There's definitely a Raiders of the Lost Ark trailer, which I'm interested in. But and I'm also happy to see there's a photo circulating with Harrison Ford and Kai Kwan. So cool. But apparently he's going to be in, not Harrison Ford, but he's going to be in Loki season 2. So that's pretty cool.
I know. That was a very cool announcement. I'm excited about that. I'm glad to see that he's getting some good high profile work. I guess I'm a little bummed that he won't make an appearance in Indiana Jones, or will he? But
maybe.
But that, I got to say real quick, that picture of those two together is just like, if you need a pick me up in something where you just like, I just need to see something joyful, look at that, because they both look extremely happy to see each other. It's really cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's an interesting photo, and I think that means they're probably, because Harrison Ford even comes out and says, "This is my last time falling down for you." That's like a quote from the panel.
Yes,
I'm not going to do Indiana Jones anymore. So I think to make it special, I mean, it's going to be special anyway, but to make it more special, I think they'll have him back, and then maybe they'll get Marion back. They'll get everybody, even dare I say it, Shia LaBeouf. No, probably not.
Even Mutt.
Even Mutt. I don't think they'll bring Mutt back, but you never know.
No.
I mean, shit happens. It's possible, but I doubt it.
Well, apparently that trailer got a pretty rapturous, pretty excited reception by the folks in attendance. Everybody went wild, and
well, it's Indiana Jones. I mean, of course they are. So.
And it sounds like from what the filmmakers are saying that they really put a lot into this, and again, like you said, acknowledging that the 70-something Harrison Ford probably doesn't have another one of these in him, especially in another 15 years. This is going to be it. I know a lot of people are talking about, who's going to take over? And, I think it's okay if we let it rest at what we have. I don't know.
Well, maybe they'll set that up in this one. Maybe that'll be, it'll just be, here's the end of the movie, right? So Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones finally settles down. He's got a wife and a kid. And in the last scene of the movie, his kid goes to the desk and picks up the hat. And that's the end.
Yeah.
Just picks it up and maybe even starts to put it on. Boom, black. And that's the end.
Actually, what would be even better?
I just got chills, man. Seriously.
I did too. But even better to kind of really tick people off is a hand reaches down to pick up the hat. But then it doesn't show who it is, and that's it.
Or if you're gonna really go for it, I guess it could be Indy's daughter.
There you go.
Who picks up the hat?
Or Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
No, she's not going to be Indiana Jones. But anyway, so that's I'm in. I'll be watching Indiana Jones.
I'll be there opening night. I'll go to the theater to see
even if he gets into a refrigerator, I don't really care. That's fine.
Please, that's no silly. Anyway.
No sillier than anything else. I know.
No, it was not. It was not.
Than Space Wizards. No, it's actually quite smart if you think about it, because they were lead line back in the day. So it's smart.
Right.
It's very safe.
Yes.
But yeah, there was a lot of other announcements too. I'm sorry, I had a moment where I was like, "What are we talking about?" I totally lost it for a second there. That's sad.
Yeah, a lot of Marvel and Star Wars kind of
Definitely, yeah.
tidbits, and no Fantastic Four casting, which is what everyone was expecting. And I was like, it's too early for that. They just announced a new director. There's no way that they've cast it yet.
Yes, and even Feige says it's 2 years away, so they're still casting. So if it's not Krasinski or who's the other guy there? I can't think of his name, but they're throwing around another name that might be Reed Richards. Who do you think it'll be if it's not those guys? Penn Badgley, that's the other guy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm fine with it. One thing I do want to predict though right now is because they did release the cast for the Thunderbolts film.
Yes.
And they have Christopher McDonald cast in an undisclosed role. I think he's Thunderbolt Ross. That's just my prediction.
Oh, you think he's going to take over? Oh.
Yeah, I think so because they actually talk about how his role has potential to be in other MCU properties. So that's Thunderbolt Ross. It has to be because no disrespect to William Hurt, obviously, because
right. But you have to have that character continue.
You need Thunderbolt Ross for the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So Christopher McDonald, that's my prediction because it says undisclosed role. I think it's going to be Thunderbolt Ross.
No,
so
I think you're right. And I'd be okay with that. I think that would be a good. Yeah.
As long as he says the line, "You eat pieces of shit for breakfast." Oh wait, that's a different movie. Never mind.
Wait.
He doesn't even say that. It's Adam Sandler, but whatever.
Well, yeah.
I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. Okay. Still a funny movie. If you've never seen Happy Gilmore, folks, you should watch it.
Yes. But nice lineup for Thunderbolts, even bringing back some folks we haven't seen in a while, which is kind of interesting. But
yeah, and of course Yelena's in there as she should be.
Yep.
And you know,
and Bucky
and and the rest. So that's great. And the rest.
And wasn't that the opening credits for the first season of Gilligan's Island? It's like they went through the three main characters and the rest. And it's like, wow, thanks. All right.
Somebody did a thing about that. Is that kind of boat that they had like a cruising distance of like 40 miles or something. So they're not really that far.
Yeah, really. They could probably like swim to.
Yeah, they're not really anywhere else. Yeah.
So.
I'm also excited about David Harbour being in that too.
Yes,
I forgot about David Harbour. So that's cool. Good for him. Which makes sense because it's Yelena. So
they're bringing back Ghost from the last Ant-Man movie. She's going to be in it.
Taskmaster. Yeah,
Taskmaster. Yeah. So I'm excited. And of course, U.S. Agent, which I mean they set that up obviously, and of course Julie Louis-Dreyfus is kind of the ringleader. So I'm really excited about Thunderbolts. To see, I guess my only, if I had to pick a disappointment for it is, and there's no way they could do it nowadays in the age of the internet or having the characters already appeared, that there's no way they could have done a surprise like the comics where they appeared in, Thunderbolts originally appeared in an issue of the Hulk and then they got their own series. And then there was the reveal at the end of the first issue that they were actually villains in disguise as heroes, differently named heroes, and it was like, there's no way you could pull that off in a movie nowadays. Especially as soon as he saw the cast list, it's like, I know who they're playing, right? So
yeah. You can't keep it secret now, but I'm sure there'll be some twists. There'll probably be other members of Thunderbolts not announced yet. Like who knows? Maybe Blonsky will be in. Maybe there'll be some other people. But I do like the fact that they're all sort of villains who, I mean, as someone pointed out, they're like the Suicide Squad of Marvel. I'm like, well, I guess, but
they're not really like out and out villains. They were kind of misunderstood, right? And for whatever reason, they ended up on the wrong side of the law.
It's like gray areas, right? They're not like Bucky. I don't think is a villain for sure.
I mean, he was for a while. He's brainwashed though, so right.
It wasn't his fault. That's right.
Right. I don't know that Red Guardian is now really a villain either.
I think if you're talking about the only person who seems to be a real villain, it's probably U.S. Agent.
Right, exactly.
Who's like a villain.
And maybe
he's kind of misunderstood too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really, like you said, it's not really Marvel's Suicide Squad.
It's not, but people like to think about it, and try to figure out stuff. But I'm gonna watch it, of course. But I got to be honest though, all the announcements I've seen, I think the Secret Invasion trailer, as far as Marvel stuff, I watched. That's the only trailer I watched like 4 times. Like, damn, this looks good. First of all, it's created by the guy who was one of the writers from Mr. Robot, so I appreciate that. I love the fact that it's going to be more of a ground level thing and like sort of spy like instead of with a bunch of superpowered people. I'm sure there'll be that, but it looks like it's more like all the agents, right? Like Nick Fury
yeah.
and Maria Hill and whoever Martin Freeman's character is. I can't remember his name, but and all those kind of
He's in
people.
the Black Panther movies, and
Yeah, he's a CIA guy, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, why can't I remember his name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then
Everett Ross. Yes.
Everett Ross, thank you. Yeah, yeah. And then Amelia Clark in an undisclosed role, which I appreciate too. I like to see her doing stuff. Dermot Mulroney, supposedly. And this is where Christopher McDonald comes in as someone also in this movie. Too, so
That character, undisclosed, gets around a lot of movies, I tell you.
yes, he does. But anyway,
What I found interesting, though, about this one is, like, Nick Fury is just, like, beat down, man. He's just, like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even live on Earth anymore, and he just looks like weary, and probably because hey, we went through the snap, and then afterwards Tony dies, and spoilers for Endgame, and
for anyone who doesn't live in the world,
he just seems to be like and if you want to include Agents of Shield, he kind of lost control of Shield because of Hydra. And he's just like, I'm kind of done. I'm hanging out off planet and don't really want to care to come back. So I think the subtitle of this one is going to be how Fury got his groove back, or if you're Thor, Nick Fury. But
right. You know what Nick Fury cares about the most, though?
What?
Where are his motherfucking socks?
Right. Exactly.
And shoes. I'm just.
I think he misses his Flirkin is probably what comes
well, he's got
to.
that scar. It looks really cool, and it's great to see Ben Mendelsohn back.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be good. I really think it's going to be good. There's a lot of, it's like got the things that I like. It's got like spy intrigue stuff, which I really enjoy.
Yes.
It's just going to be really fun. It's not going to be like, because in the Secret Invasion comics, there's no way they could bring all those characters in. It's just not possible.
No,
that has like more superhero characters than fucking Endgame would probably have.
Right.
So it's like you're gonna have to like make it more focused on certain things. It's gonna be super fun, and I'm looking forward to it. This was I think my favorite trailer that I saw. Although Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
You're a Mandalorian no longer.
Yes.
Also looks pretty dope too. So I don't know. It's hard to decide. Now I'm confused because when I heard the news about Christopher McDonald, I thought he was in Thunderbolts, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not going to be Thunderbolt Ross. Maybe he's going to be somebody else because he's cast in this show.
He still could be Thunderbolt. He could be in both.
I guess you're right, but now
because Nick Fury's also in the Captain Marvel sequel. He's in that, so
yeah,
I guess
they did a panel for that too.
Yeah, I guess we're going to see a lot more Nick Fury is what is going to happen, which is okay because Sam Jackson does a great job playing Nick Fury. So I'm glad to see him continue in that role and see more of him.
They basically bought him out, right? They can put him in anything if they want to.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah.
He has a deal to appear in pretty much everything, which, let's be honest, good deal for him and good deal for them because he's awesome.
Yeah, and from, things I've seen in interviews, he enjoys playing the role, so why not, right? So.
Well, it's probably not. This is probably the first project that's been about him.
Yes,
because
exactly.
there's other things like Winter Soldier had a lot of Nick Fury in it, but it wasn't about Nick Fury. This is like the first time where he's like center stage, but it's probably easier in a way and less pressure because it's a Disney Plus show rather than a movie.
True.
And I think it's really smart that Disney Plus and Marvel whatever are doing this now because a lot of the things a lot of these characters would never see a feature presentation because it's just too expensive.
Right.
But they can bring a lot of these characters into the light now with TV shows. Like they're never going to do a Loki standalone movie, or they'd probably never do maybe they would, but I doubt it. I'm surprised that. I guess Thunderbolts has enough of a diverse cast where they could do it as a movie, but I'm surprised that's not a Disney Plus show, to be honest. It has Florence Pugh, so I guess that's the big deal now.
Yeah, but it's like they can do things. To me, the shows, and this is where I think some of the criticism comes in, but it isn't warranted. The shows are more of a chance to, hey, we can explore a character or these characters for 6 or 8 hours. Instead of just having a big bombastic movie where you don't really know who they are. And then we can put them in the big bombastic movies, and it gives you a little bit more, if you've seen the shows, it gives you a little bit more weight to what's going on with the characters. So I kind of like that approach. It's like, well, let's do some character pieces and explore these characters. We have got 900 or so Marvel characters out there. Why not explore them and at the same time find out? They obviously have plans for a lot of them because they keep showing up.
Yeah.
They
Right, but I agree with you. But I wonder because, like, well, look at the Disney Plus shows, the Marvel shows that came out. You had, Scarlet Witch, a character that was already in the movies. You had, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which is already from the
Right.
movies. It's kind of going the opposite in some ways. So that's why I thought maybe the Thunderbolts would end up being a series.
Oh
But,
yeah, I see that.
But maybe they're just building that because now they've got more shows coming. Like they're doing the Daredevil thing, which is I'm so happy about that.
Yes.
That's going to be great.
Well, and like what I think is cool, like we have the new Captain America movie coming out where Sam Wilson's going to be Captain America. So somebody that only catches the movies and is a casual fan may watch that movie and be like, whoa, Sam Wilson's Captain America now. How did that happen? Well, we have a show you can watch. We have a few episodes you can watch to find out how that happened. Oh, cool. And yeah, I guess you could say, oh, it's all to make more money and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was kind of like the comics. It's like you pick up an issue of Marvel Comics and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? How did this happen? Well, there's this, if you picked up Hulk and it's like, oh, who's this guy, Captain America, that's showing up? Oh, well, he's got his own series. You can go and read that and find out about him, right? So that's why I kind of feel that it is now with the movies and TV. It's like, well, would you like to know more? Well, you can. Go watch this, and you'll find out more about these characters.
Yeah, that makes sense because like on Disney Plus, the stories are more comic book like, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
they can have arcs of things, where in a movie you don't get as much of that. So yeah, I mean, they finally, I feel like they're embracing the idea. Because I feel like when Disney Plus first launched, it was like, oh shit, no one's going to the movies now. What are we going to do? So we got to have these shows.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, we have this thing, and now they've got a really good model because they release a Marvel show, and then they release a Star Wars show, and they release another Marvel show, and then another Star Wars show, or whatever. Because Andor is coming in like 2 weeks, so which also looks really good.
Oh, that looks great.
I'm just like, I'm always like, well, okay, sure, let's get a story about a guy we know what his fate is. But now I suppose there's plenty of story before, what happens to him. I'm sorry, spoilers if you've never seen Rogue One, but it's like, he doesn't make it. Sorry. But it's actually funny. Stellan Skarsgård's like, well, we're going to die in this job or whatever. He says like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
That really-
you're
that really
right.
happens.
We are. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone in this scene is dead.
Yes, exactly.
So- although I don't know who Stellan Skarsgård's playing, but I can't remember his character's name.
We haven't seen him again anywhere else, so I don't think he
Right,
makes it.
we
either.
haven't seen him. Yeah, we haven't seen him. So, but yeah, good for that. I'm going to watch Andor. I think that's going to be fun.
I will say that just to touch on Marvel again, they definitely they never forget a character, even in a movie that they don't necessarily want people to remember. Because now, what's his name as the leader from Ed Norton's Hulk movie is going to be.
That's right.
Is coming back. So it's like,
That's right.
Geez, like 14 years later, and I mean they brought back Thunderbolt Ross earlier.
Yeah.
So it's like
Blonsky.
Blonsky's back. I mean, who would have thought Abomination
Tim
would come
Roth.
back?
Well, who would have thought Tim Roth would be playing Abomination?
Right, and that he would be like, yeah, sure, I'll be in this wacky show. Why not?
Why not? I'll have 8 wives or 7 wives or whatever. And whatever. Yeah, I'm enjoying She-Hulk. We'll get to that in a second. But
but Andor looks good.
yeah.
The Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
season 3. Oh, man, that show is just great.
yeah, you're a clan of 2. It's like, oh, of course you are. Awesome.
Well, yes.
Yeah, it can't help but be good. They're back together as they should be.
Yes.
And it's gonna be terrific. And it looks like there's gonna be more of the Darksaber action with some more Bo-Katan and all that stuff. So, and then of course they're filming Ahsoka now.
Yeah,
which is
I've
cool.
heard good things about that with some of the
good
footage
things,
that was shown. So
Yeah, so that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I'm just trying to think if there's any other Marvel stuff. I mean, there's a lot of Marvel stuff, but not as much. Of course, some people were upset because there's no Fantastic Four.
yeah, I mean, they
or
did
whatever.
confirm that Matt Shackman is directing it, which again, it's like they just pulled him in as director. They haven't cast this thing yet, folks. There were some people even complaining, well, we didn't see any footage from Daredevil. It's like they haven't started shooting it yet. How can you show footage of something?
There's plenty of footage from Daredevil. Just go back to Disney Plus. There's a ton of footage from Daredevil right there.
And then watch the next couple episodes of She-Hulk. Jeez, I was like,
right? Because he'll be in.
How are you complaining about not seeing footage of something that doesn't exist yet? I don't know. But
Joe, the real problem is there's black people in That's the problem. That's what's destroying the world. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
New Wakanda Forever trailer too that got a lot of positive feedback. So.
A lot of dry, not dry eyes or whatever. I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I know there was other things that were happening because they do a bunch of things, but not like bombshell level. I mean, it was nice to see. It was nice to see the Thunderbolts casting thing because that's cool. I like to see all those guys get more work because I mean, Julia Louis-Dreyfus doesn't need a job, but everybody else could use more work. I'm sure.
Sure.
I mean, Florence Pugh's probably gonna be okay. But and of course, like I said, Secret Invasion I think is my favorite thing. I'm more excited about that only because I've always loved the character of Nick Fury, and I always thought that there would be a cool, he's a cool character who could be explored more. And now I feel like he will get more of his due. But I love this whole, fuck it, I just didn't feel like calling you back kind of shit. It's like, fuck, who cares,
Yeah, well, okay then. Yes.
I'm the only one who could do this. He's just very, very world weary, but he does put the eye patch back on.
He does. So yes.
He's like, last time I trusted someone, I can't do Samuel Jackson.
No, don't.
I lost an eye.
I lost my one good eye.
Fuck your flicking. Okay,
but there was a lot of trailers for Marvel stuff. But you're right, nothing. It was kind of weird. I expected that at Comic-Con, I expected it to be a reverse. At Comic-Con, hey, we're going to show some footage for stuff, and then at D23, here's all the stuff that they announced at Comic-Con. But they kind of went the other way, which is interesting. I guess maybe Disney D23 is more, people expect more Star Wars stuff and more Disney announcements.
Well, there was a lot of there was animation, Star Wars animation stuff, and Filoni had a whole thing about new seasons of a bunch of stuff. But there was Star Wars. I mean, there was definitely Andor and announcements of other and then the Indiana Jones thing, which I'm looking forward to seeing. But
more stuff on Willow. Christian Slater is going to be on that show. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Willow looks great.
Huge fan of Willow, and I'm glad they are keeping Willow the same. So I'm excited. to see
Warwick
that.
Davis with his joke. Oh, this is not the Star Wars panel. That's my other blockbuster franchise. There you go. Hey, thanks.
Yes. So, and they did. I guess they did show a lot of first footage. Ironheart and Echo,
Armor Wars is coming up.
Yeah,
too.
So
that's confirmed. So
there's some great stuff coming out. So
it's going to be fun. I'm not even being hyper. It's not hyperbole. It's just as we remark about a lot. It's great to be getting so many cool shows, and some are going to be better than others, obviously, but there's going to still be something to watch.
That's a great thing. There's so much stuff coming out. If you see something that doesn't immediately grab your eye, you don't need to watch it. There's plenty of other stuff to watch. So.
And as people point out online sometimes, it's not the airport. You don't have to announce your departure. If you don't want to watch a show, just don't watch it. No one has to know. No one's interested in your hot take necessarily.
I like that. You don't have to announce your departure. You don't
have to announce your departure. It's like people announce, I'm unfollowing you. It's like, okay, just do it. You don't have to tell me. I don't care. Although that doesn't happen to me too much. People are just so interested in what I have to say. But
I guarantee you I wouldn't even have noticed. So go right ahead.
I didn't know you were following me, so when you leave, that's
exactly. I didn't know I didn't. Yeah.
We don't have a relationship that you think we do.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the biggest problems with fandom these days is some people think they have a relationship with these characters and with these properties and with these, whatever, these creators. And it's like, we own you because you're online now and we feel like we're buddies. And so I can tell you how horrible your show is, or I can complain about, diversity in casting or you know what? And it's your right to complain about things. That's absolutely fine. But I don't have to be subject to your opinions necessarily. So I'm not really listening. I'm enjoying Rings of Power because I was just thrilled to be back in this world at all. And I'll be honest, I had reservations like, wow, I don't know if it's going to be good. I'm worried. But a lot of the criticism I'm hearing, diversity. Oh, there's a black guy who's an elf. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Tolkien never had black people in the show or in the movie or in the books,
right?
Or whatever. Or the show is slow. It's like It's fucking Middle Earth, dude.
Right.
Elves live thousands of years. Of course the show is slow. But by the way, it's a fucking show. Who
Right. It's
cares?
not a movie every week. It's an actual episodic
Well, they're taking time to
story.
develop the
Right.
characters,
Right.
which I know you hate, but
That's the whole criticism I've seen, especially of the Marvel shows. It's like, oh, the pacing is it's so slow and they're dragging stuff out. It's like
Yeah.
it's a different format. It's not going to be
Yeah.
explosions every week. We're exploring characters. We're getting to know the characters.
And it can't be because they don't
Right.
have money for that. But
Well, apparently
I
they
do
do
have
for Lord of the Rings. But
I do have one.
are we going to talk about that now, or do we want to talk about She-Hulk?
Let's just talk about Lord of the Rings. Now.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
Rings of
go.
Power. Okay, it's just I do have one. It's not a criticism, but I do have one observation because watching Rings of Power and having just watched the Peter Jackson trilogy recently, just because it's fucking awesome and I just want to watch it every year or so.
Yeah.
There is a difference between the way the characters are presented, obviously, because this is not Peter Jackson's Rings of Power.
Well,
obviously,
yeah.
but Galadriel is an interesting character because if you talk about like in the Fellowship of the Ring when they're in Moria and they have to fight the cave troll, they all work together as a team. But I realized that was a team building exercise because they all had to work together.
Right.
My sort of issue is not really an issue, but there's the scene when in the first episode where Galadriel's in the ice cave. It's an ice troll, and none of them can do anything. They all get knocked out, and then she's the only one who can like whip around and fight the thing. I would have liked it maybe more if they all worked together a little bit. Not that they were, you know what I mean? It seemed like she was slightly too OP for the entire show. But other than that, I like her character. I like her as an actress. I think the show is cool. That was like one thing that sort of took me out of it a little bit.
I know that scene in particular is also from a certain crowd is getting a lot of criticism.
Yeah.
My take on it was that they were taken by surprise, and she did. She had the guy flip her on his sword at it. So there was a little bit of teamwork there. So I think
Yeah.
caught everybody by surprise, and she's just like I'm not going to think, without thinking, I'm just going to go in and take care of this. And she did. I mean, if it didn't work, I'm sure they would have teamed up. But yeah, I guess I see that. But again, also narratively and dramatically, it's like we want you to know as soon as possible that Galadriel, even though we want you to know, first of all, she's been alive for a long time, but that also she's a badass, right? So,
Sure.
I mean, if that was a male character, I feel they would have done the same thing because this is a central character and we want you to know pretty quickly that they're a badass. And then we're going to tell you, why they're a badass and a little bit more about them. But so, yeah, I get that. But yeah, I feel like if that scene had taken place in another episode, like episode 2 or 3, that it would have been more of a teamwork.
Well, they do.
I mean, they do that. Yeah.
With Arendir, they do
Yeah.
it with him too,
Yeah.
and also everyone hates him because he's a black actor playing a.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even think he's. I think he's like. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
And they hate Lenny Henry. How can you hate Lenny Henry?
Well, that's true.
Sorry.
There are no black elves, Joe.
There's no black hobbits, and there's no. It's like, oh, come on. Even though,
Okay, so but Arendir's character is basically the same as Galadriel, and I think you're making an interesting point because if it had come in an episode or two later, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. Or if we'd seen, maybe because he does the same thing when they're fighting the orcs in episode 3, trying to escape.
he's like the badass there. I mean,
Yes, he's jumping on the chain and doing all. I mean,
Yeah.
Elves are just really good fighters, apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, it didn't bother me. I guess the only thing that made it stand out for me is that I had literally just watched Fellowship of the Ring like a few weeks before that,
Yeah.
and it was a remarkably similar scene. But they obviously serve two different purposes because in Lord of the Rings, in Fellowship of the Ring, it's to get them working together, and it's also to Mithril, So it's like, oh, you are full of surprises, Frodo Baggins, and all that's I don't know what I'm doing.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry,
and the other
sorry,
thing,
Sir Ian McKellen, OBE.
I think the other thing that scene does too is at that point, everybody else with her is like, we just want to go home. We're really
that's a
done
good
with
point,
this.
too, yeah.
And she was the only one that was like laser focused on, we got to complete this mission. We got to find this evil. So I think a lot of it, that played in it too. So I see what everyone's saying and what you're saying about that. It was a little like, come on. But I think it was narratively it worked, and it was
Well, no, I understand the purpose of the scene. Obviously,
Yeah.
and it was to show, like you said, it was to show that she was a badass and can go it alone and is going it alone.
right.
But yeah, I guess it wouldn't have made sense if well, it would have made less sense maybe if they'd all said, "Well, fuck it, we're leaving." Although they do say that afterwards, they're like all say, "Bye, peace out."
Yeah, well, I think
and they
that
all
like
bail.
sealed the deal, right? They're like, yeah,
Yeah,
screw this.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know the whole, I know the purpose of this thing,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
fine. It didn't bother me. It's just like, oh, she's in some ways maybe too. And I also, and to be honest, I feel the same way about Aaron Deere too. He's a little bit too powerful, but also is easily captured apparently. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's like, wait, you're that? Yeah, that was a little
that
bit
was
like, oh, okay, but
yeah. Anyway, it's just
I do like
I
that.
do enjoy the show though.
I like that it's picking up a lot of pieces from appendixes and Silmarillion that we never really got any details on, and I appreciate that they're able to, in filling out those details and expanding on things, they're able to kind of create their own characters for some of it and their own story a little bit. So it isn't just like, oh, well, this is just a retelling of everything we were able to piece together and we know. They're telling a little bit of a different story. I think there's some true fans, TM, that are pissed off about that. But I like the characters they've created. I like the mysteries that they're doing. And, obviously, I guess they're leading us to these characters we've seen are going to be our new fellowship, maybe. I don't know. But surprisingly, they're keeping a lot of people apart for a while, at least for the first few episodes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But we gotta talk about the extraterrestrial rock in the room. So Meteor Man, that's Gandalf, right?
I would imagine so. I mean,
Yeah.
some people were speculating it was Sauron, or one of the other blue wizards, maybe if you've read
Or
your
Saruman.
Silmarillion no, it's not Saruman because he
Yeah.
would have been there technically
Yeah.
already, I think. But because he's according to the books or whatever, he's the first wizard that comes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they already talked about Sauron, and apparently it seemed like spoilers. I don't know. It seems like you're going to meet Sauron in the next episode, maybe.
Right.
Which is not the Meteor Man. So yeah, I mean, he does talk to the fireflies. He does a lot of the Gandalf stuff.
And it would make sense as to why he's particularly fond of hobbits, because the Harfoots
Right.
helped him
Right.
when they had
No
no
one
reason to, and no one else did, and he didn't know what was going on. So it fits.
It's not exactly. It's not timeline wise. I suppose if you think about it, it's not really his origin story necessarily, and
Right.
it's not really the time for his origin because he comes anyway. It doesn't matter. That's why I feel like they are taking the parts of the things that they can use based on the lawsuit with the Tolkien estate.
Yeah.
But also they're kind of weaving their own sort of narrative too, based on, because obviously we know what happens. Isildur fights Sauron and gets them, whatever, and all that stuff. So he's
Right.
going to be a big deal. The Sauron comes to the elven smiths and say, we could make some rings. That'd be cool. I mean, my name's not Sauron. I'm somebody else. I don't know who Sauron
Yeah,
is.
I'm
not me.
Doron. That's
Yeah. And so they make the rings, and he's like, "Oh, suckers! I got my ring of power right here." So, but that all happens, and then there's a big fight, and of course, some of these characters are very central to that battle, like Galadriel and
yeah.
whoever else.
I just really like it. It looks
Elrond.
It looks amazing. I like, unlike the other fantasy series that's happening, I'm instantly like these characters, and they're actually characters I want to follow and find out what they do. And I
Definitely.
I like the mix. They have the right balance of drama and humor, and it's just, to me, it's really well written, and they've set up some really good mysteries. And I don't know, I'm very much enjoying it, and I binged all 3 of the episodes that have been released in one day, and and it definitely left me with like, wait, why can't they drop the whole season at once? Damn it, come on. So,
Yeah, I'm enjoying the dwarves. I love Peter Mullen as Durin. He's awesome.
Yes.
He and Elrond have that great that great battle. It's like, you missed my family, because it's interesting they explore that, because elves to elves, like 1,000 years is nothing. It's like, oh really?
Right. It's been 20 years, and it's like it's
They
been
live
20
a-
minutes. Yeah.
They live a lot longer than even dwarves.
Yeah.
and it's like they don't really reckon time the same way. And I think Elrond generally wasn't trying to be offensive, and the fact that there's a lot of that really good bonding in that whole scene. I think it's great that they come back, and the wife character is terrific,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that they're doing, the way they put light into the caves, and like the light is coming down on the tree and all that. That's beautiful. The whole thing is really beautiful. And it's really nice to see this city in its prime, because in Lord of the Rings you don't get to see that, obviously.
Yeah.
You get to see it after it's been
pretty
destroyed.
ruined. Yeah.
Balrog, and all that. So, yeah, I'm digging it, and I think it's partially because I just love this world and I love Lord of the Rings. So I think it's fun to go back.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that is it, because I love the movies so much that getting to explore more of that world and in an extended fashion, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally for that. So
yeah, give me as much as you want. It's fine. I'll take it.
So yeah, very very loving it. Very interested to see where things go. Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think that is probably Gandalf. You're right. So, but he just doesn't know who he is, and
yeah, because when he came back as in the movies, when he comes back as Gandalf the White, he doesn't remember right away. I mean, it was a quicker way. I don't know how much time passes in the book before he remembers everything, but he didn't remember. So
I think it's a while, but
it would make sense for his first time being sent to Earth, or Middle Earth, that he doesn't have any idea who he is.
I don't remember though if that's how he gets to Middle Earth. I don't think he comes in a meteor. I think that's someone else's origin, but I can't remember. I haven't read the Silmarillion in a long time.
Yeah, me either.
Or any of the other. It's like it was very, and it's not like a book necessarily. It's like a series of like stories almost. It's not like a coherent narrative necessarily.
Like,
so
it's a timeline and all that stuff. So it's disjointed.
Yeah.
It's not a complete narrative book, like you said. Yeah.
I feel like someone like Peter Jackson knows these books incredibly well, and I feel like the guys who make this show, or ladies or whatever, know the books pretty well too.
Yeah.
But if I were to say, I would say that Peter Jackson probably is more of an expert on Tolkien, but they have a Tolkien family member as an advisor on this show, and you can definitely see where the money was spent. But it's a beautiful show. It's really I'm enjoying it, and I think you're right though. I think, like we said, it's just partially because it's so nice to get back to this world. It's an amazing world that I grew up with, and it's a terrific.
Well, every time we meet a character too, I'm like, I want to know more about that person, because
and no one ever says your name is Samuel.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, even was a Hallbrand that Galadriel finds at sea. It's like, I want to know more about this guy, because they give us enough about him that's like, all right, there's something going on with him. And the dude that they meet in the city too, it's like, okay, so there's something. I don't know. It's just,
dude, you're Isildur's dad,
right? Yeah. So it's like, this is, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot of fun. I mean, really enjoying.
Well, I think they're going to explore him more too. I think he's going to have more stuff going on.
Yeah,
I get the feeling that there's some kind of thing going with him. But then, and Hilbrand was also like, please don't do this. And then he beats the shit out of those guys.
Yeah.
He's
a berserker.
He's the king in the south or the east.
Yeah.
But it's funny when they're looking at the map and going, that's where they built Mordor, guys. Wake up.
Yeah. He's like, hey, don't you know what that is? Of course they don't. But it's like,
of course there's tunnels under the place. It's fucking Mordor, everybody.
Yeah, come on.
Gonna be,
yes.
Yeah. Anyway. I couldn't help but see the map and go, nope, that's not the Southlands or whatever. That's going to be a terrible place soon. So.
And I do like how they show us, like when they switch locations, they'll show us the map. And so that was maybe something I think was missed in the movies, because I'm like, so where are we now? How far is it? Really? Okay. But this gives you a kind of more of a sense of how spread out the characters are. I imagine once everyone gets together, or if they do, that will become less and less. But it's kind of nice to go, oh, wow, we're really exploring Middle Earth. This isn't... Oh, and getting to see, too, at least the sequence of entering the Grey Havens was really interesting, because it's only ever talked about, right? And it's like, it's this... Is it their heaven? Is it, are they dead now? What's going on? But getting to kind of see that, and her going, nope, jumping overboard, was like, wow, that was really interesting. So I don't know. I just like the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. Can you imagine though? It's like you come into this show and it's like they make a 5-season commitment to make this thing, and you're like, wow, I can do kind of what the way you can make this is just, it's got to be a daunting task, but also probably a really good feeling task too, because it's like, now I know how much time I have. We can plan things out. We can basically show whatever we need to show. and of course visit New Zealand and do all that.
Well, that's what they did because they were originally like, well, let's see how it goes. This is probably going to be multi-season, but we're still going to need to renew every year. And then what was it? They shot the first 2 episodes and they took a break and really brought in the writing staff they wanted for the whole thing. And they're like, okay, so we see what we set up in the first 2 episodes and what we want to do. Let's really plan this thing out. And then they went back and shot the rest of season 1 and season 2 right after that. So they're really, like you said, this is kind of an embarrassment of riches. They get to plan this entire story out and know where we're going. And I think that's going to be exciting for us. So.
Yeah, I think they had to do a certain number of seasons commitment to the Tolkien estate. They had to agree to that during the lawsuit to help settle some of that stuff. I think it actually is 5 years.
It is, yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. So anyway, yeah, it's great. I'm sure we'll touch on it again and talk about it some more. But it's just I like it, and you made a good point. It's an interesting contrast to Game of Thrones prequel, where you almost don't like anybody. Although the last episode of House of the Dragon kind of grew on me a little bit, only because I feel like Matt Smith finally sort of did something with the character that he had. And
he actually did something. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's just sort of sniveling, whatever. But less mustache twirling. More interesting because it gave him some good character development finally. But I'm not hating the show as much as I used to at the beginning. Not that I was hating it. It's like I was indifferent. I'm sort of watching it anyway still. But I really think that Rings of Power is a lot better. So, but there won't be any dragons in this one, I don't think. So.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I can't really put my finger on it because even with Game of Thrones, I've enjoyed the books. And the show was pretty good for the most part. But I think it's just this. There is no, it's unrelenting.
Well, it's like a downer. It's a real downer.
Like the whole time. And it's just like, there's no, and none of the characters, they're all, I think they went a little too far in giving them too much dimension, but in the wrong way, because it's like, there's nothing, especially in this one, I'm like, there's nobody on the show that I'm like rooting for or actually am interested. It's like, God, I hope they don't develop more because they're going to be more of an asshole. I don't know.
It's definitely very, very serious. And I think that's one thing that's good about Rings of Power is it is very serious, but then you cut to the hobbits and they're a little bit more of a sort of you need the roller coaster, right? You need the highs and the lows. You need varying different things. You don't just need all downer. Because that gets tedious and that gets like harder to watch. Whereas with something like Rings of Power, you have the tough moments, but you also have the sweet moments too, and the moments of friendship. And that's what was so great about the movies. It's like you get the idea that, especially with the love of Sam and Frodo, it's like you get the idea that it's all about this little thing that's what's going to save us is loyalty and friendship and love and working together. And no better pair of characters exemplify that than Sam and Frodo. But it's just, and Legolas and Gimli a little bit too, I guess. But if you get that, you don't get that really from Game of Thrones, from House of the Dragon yet necessarily, and you do kind of get it from Rings of Power a little bit. You get a little bit more of that. It's not a relentless downer, I guess is what I'm saying. There's some up moments too, and some moments of comedy, like when he goes to meet ask for help in the mines. And he gets turned away, and they have to do that contest, and there's like jokes and happiness and merriment, and people drink and all as well. So anyway.
I think Game of Thrones and definitely House of Dragons is more about no, this is real and it's serious and it's dark, and we want you to know that at every single moment. Whereas Lord of the Rings is more like, no, this is a fairy tale fantasy story, and we want you to know that, and we're gonna and I don't know, it just. You couldn't have anything like the Harfoots in Game of Thrones because people would be like, "Oh, that's stupid. That's silly."
You could, but then they get burned by the dragon.
Yeah, the dragon would come in and destroy. As soon as they reveal themselves from their camouflage, dragon would come in and burn them all.
Exactly. Actually, the only character in Game of Thrones that I'm rooting for right now is what's her face's bodyguard.
Okay.
That's the guy. That's the one character I like because he's like not a dick, and he like really tries to do a good job, even though she's hard to. she's hard to to follow around. What's the character's name? I don't even
Although
know.
I hear like coming up,
Rhaenyra. Yeah.
here coming up, they're going to do a time jump, so the younger characters are going to be gone, or the younger actors are going to be gone from the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of a dick move, but okay.
It's weird. It's really weird. Why can't they just because the adults don't? They're not like elves. They don't live 100 years,
Right.
1,000 years.
Right.
Why can't these characters just be the characters they are? Because if you're worried about old men marrying 12-year-olds, that's the wrong show because it's already happened.
Or don't write that into the show.
Or don't write, or don't write that into the show. Yeah, that's like what? So why would you? Because I'm actually enjoying the actress who plays Rhaenyra, Millie Alcock. I think she's doing a really good job, and they're gonna like
Yeah.
bail on her. Bye. I'm sure Emma Darcy will be terrific, but it's just like why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. But whatever. That's just one of the things that I don't understand about the show. But I did enjoy this last episode, I guess, because Matt Smith was actually interesting.
Well, I've only watched one episode of House of Dragon. Maybe I'll watch the whole thing when the season ends, but I've definitely devoured Lord of the Rings and will rewatch that multiple times. So
I think what I'm doing mostly is I'm watching House of the Dragon as a contrast to Rings of Power because I want to see here's both of these really expensive fantasy shows based on existing IP that's extremely popular. And let's be honest, there wouldn't be a Game of Thrones without Lord of the Rings, but it's just like it's interesting to see how the two fantasies kind of turn because Martin, whether he did it or not, kind of went in a different direction with Game of Thrones. It was like the darker version of Lord of the Rings, right?
Right.
Because Lord of the Rings is about, in the end, it's about positive friendship, happiness, and the love of the environment because Tolkien was a big environmental guy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more singing and stuff in the books, of course. Yeah. But unless you're Peter Jackson, and then the first, the beginning of the Hobbit movie, you have like 20 minutes of songs, which is fine.
Right.
But,
yeah, it's okay.
But then Martin went, he went, like I said, he went in a different direction. He went to a darker, more like, it's the Game of Thrones, the wheel turns and people get flayed alive and blah.
And I guess he intended it more to be like a pseudo alternate history and stuff because other than dragons, there's very little, if any, magic in Game of Thrones. I mean, there is more in the books because they bring people back from the dead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's no elves, there's no magical creatures other than dragons. And whereas, Lord of the Rings is full of them. That's, most of what we get.
Magic.
So. Magic.
Magic. Yeah.
So
not just the kind of magic from the last She-Hulk episode, which was very funny. Okay, so
yes,
we should touch. We could touch briefly on She-Hulk.
We should.
The last episode I really enjoyed a lot. I thought it was great, but it's kind of, and the one before that though with Megan Thee Stallion, I think was just basically a giant like trolling of the audience.
Oh yeah, especially the one after that. She talks about having Twitter armor for a week. It's like, we're bringing back Wong. That'll give us Twitter armor for a week. I was
Wong.
like, that was great.
Wongers.
She's
funny.
That character, Madison.
Yeah.
With a Y, and it's not where you think. My God, that character was like, that could have been the dumbest character ever, but I want her in every episode now, or I want a series with her and Wong, because they're buddies now, which is great.
They're the original odd couple.
Yes.
Because she's forced to live with him with Caramage because she gets stuck in there. Anyway, no, she was great. That could have been a nothing role, or it could have been like a throwaway thing, but she fucking took care of it and did a great job. In fact, I know that person. I feel like I've hung out with her too many times. But,
yes, exactly. I think all of us have encountered that person before. But she was amazing.
Yeah, they're just basically, trolling the audience at this point, which I appreciate. And everyone in this last episode in particular was just a real standout. It's nice to see Reese Corio again after a while. He was great as the magician guy.
Yeah.
And his hype man was terrific. Everyone was really good. It's just that the whole episode was really funny. And and it's nice to see Wong again. It's nice to see him get out in front and center and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like She-Hulk said, don't forget whose show this is.
Yeah, exactly. We're not a cameo show except for, and she lists all the cameos. It's great.
Yeah. Owen Blonsky, Owen Wong.
Yeah. Don't forget who she.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I just wonder, there's obviously going to be a fight with her and Titania.
Yes.
At some point, but I'm just wondering. I'm not saying what's the point of the show, but what is the point of the show in a way,
Again, like I said, character, we're getting to know the She-Hulk character because maybe she's going to show up again somewhere else, like in the Avengers movies that are coming up.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure she will, yeah.
and we get, at least in the back half of the season, we're going to get, a reintroduction to Matt Murdock and Daredevil, so that'll be cool. Mid-season trailer for She-Hulk shows Murdock in a kind of a hybrid costume of his original yellow costume and the newer red costume. So I'm kind of excited to see what's up with that. So,
yeah, you don't grab somebody like Tatiana Maslany for just one show,
right? Yeah,
you lock her in as long as you can to get her into multiple things. But yeah, I'm sure that she'll show up in the Avengers. And I'm sure Ruffalo. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of people coming back. But I'm just, it's just funny. I like the fact that they're just taking the piss out of everybody in a way. I know that's a British expression, I realize, but it's just for fun. It's so silly in some ways, and it's a lot like the comic, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's a sitcom like the comic was, and it's just fun.
Kind of is, it kind of is. So I'm really digging it. I was kind of less enamored of the episode before with Megan Thee Stallion. Like every time they say Megan Thee Stallion, I'm like, okay, another time, come on.
I'm like, is that really her name? But okay.
It is. I get it. I understand what you're doing, but it may be too much at that point. But then this last episode, is this not real magic? Is the episode question?
Yes.
Directed by. It's nice if your wife is directing the episode because then she casts you in the role where you have your shirt off half the time. I'm just
yes.
saying.
So here's a question though for this show, because the Wrecking Crew that attacked She-Hulk mentioned the boss is going to be angry. So who's the boss? Because obviously they're leading up to something.
Well, it's got to be Fisk, right? I would imagine.
Or a Blonsky. Maybe he's manipulating everything behind the scenes.
But if Daredevil shows up, I feel like it's got to be Fisk. It's got to be related to Fisk.
I do like how Wong kind of like ends up. It's like, so we get that but you realize you broke some laws, right? He's like, I gotta go.
I gotta go. Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah.
I'm sling ringing out of here.
Yes. So
no, he's a great character. But yeah, he's the Sorcerer Supreme. He doesn't deal with human laws.
Sorcerer Supreme, Master of the Mystic Arts. Blah, blah. Okay, we get it. Yeah.
You should have that on your business card. Yeah, I'm pleased that Wong is coming back. I appreciate the fact that he's in all these episodes. I don't know that she's going to be, that he's going to be in every rest of the season, because I feel like they're going to start with the real, I don't want to say real plot line, but Titania's coming back and there's going to be that kind of stuff. And I think you're right. I think there will be the reveal, whether it's Fisk or there will be another sort of bigger bad behind the scenes.
Yeah,
but it's so 2020. It's so like now that she's suing her for using the name She-Hulk. I think that's a pretty funny bit. But,
name she didn't even really want.
Right.
And
yeah.
It's like, oh, now I'm suing you. It's like, wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just funny. It's very like inside.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. I'm
meta.
enjoying it, and it's very meta. Thank you. Yes. And I'm sure we'll see Mark Ruffalo again, perhaps, because he's in everything. Benedict Wong, I just love him. I'm just so glad.
He's so awesome
that he gets to. And I do hope we see Madison again, because she was funny.
Yeah, I was at first I was like, oh, this is gonna, and like the more she kept showing up, I'm like, she's great. She's pretty funny.
Well, it could have been too much, you know, and some people I'm sure think it's too much and didn't enjoy it, but I'm sure that I did.
I did,
and a lot of other people did too. So she's a very popular character all of a sudden.
Yes,
and what a great, and good for her. Good for the actress too, whose name I cannot remember at the moment. I really feel terrible.
Patty Guggenheim.
Thank you.
Yes,
good job, Patty.
She's been on a bunch of stuff, a lot of bit roles and some longer roles on some other shows, but
way to take something and like make it your own. Seriously.
Oh, totally. She totally owns that role. I would, like I said, I would totally watch a few episodes of her and Wong and their adventures. So,
well, they can watch Sopranos,
or just watching Sopranos. Maybe they could do a Sopranos podcast. That would be great.
It's weird that they use Sopranos though, because that's not a Disney show, right?
I know, it was kind of funny, and it's like, and even more so that Wong's never watched it. Come on, it's been around for.
He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time.
That's true.
Sorcerer Supreme. He was blipped. Oh no, he wasn't blipped.
No, he was not, because he became Sorcerer Supreme while Steven was not.
You'd think then that he had time during the blip when there was not as much going on, that he had time to watch.
Exactly. So
It is funny that she spoiled the show for me.
I know she keeps spoiling it too. That was great.
Because she's actually the perfect person to have watched that show and I can't believe this is the episode where they kill Christopher or whatever.
She would know it like
Adriana.
intimately. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So it was funny. It was really funny. So yeah, I'll finish watching that. There's a few episodes to go. We're only on episode 5, and there's like a 9-episode season. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
We got a few more to go. So
A few more to go.
yes,
But I think you're right. I think a lot of it is like we were talking about, like with What If, testing out various scenarios, Marvel, scenarios for shows, and then seeing how they play. I think in some ways this show is like, let's see if people react to a female Hulk. Obviously they're reacting pretty well, it seems like. So
yeah, see how they do with a more humorous show.
and we didn't even mention Werewolf by Night, by the way.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
black and white horror,
which is the
show.
craziest Marvel Disney thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The craziest, but it's pretty crazy. So that was an interesting trailer.
So
But yeah,
I mean
that's
that right there is what I love about the MCU is all that we can do a 30-minute sitcom with a female Hulk. We can do political intrigue with Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, and we can do a black and white horror short with Werewolf by Night. I mean, it's like so many characters. It's like I like the fact that they're not like, okay, we're going to use all these characters, but we're going to tell the same stories with the same tones. It's like, no, let's let the characters dictate what the tone's going to be.
Well, not only that, but you see Man Thing in that.
Yes.
one too, which I thought was interesting because I've never seen him. And
He who knows fear burns at the touch of the Man Thing. But
whoa, hello,
yeah.
Man Thing's touch, is that like a thing? Never mind.
No, it is. He just, if you know fear and he reaches out and touches you, you burn and emulate. Yeah.
Directed by Michael Giacchino, if I'm saying.
I
that
know,
correctly,
and he does. That's like, and they give chances to people. It's like, oh, this guy's been scoring a bunch of stuff for us. Let's let him direct something. Why not?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. It is really kind of a weird. I wonder if he does the music too. Probably not.
So it's our Halloween special, and then at Christmas we get the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special,
Which they didn't mention at all, I don't think, on D23 yet.
They
but
did
maybe
not,
They'll mention
no.
it. Maybe they'll mention it today. Although I think the Marvel stuff is actually done. So
Yeah.
because we're recording this on a Sunday, and so I think D23 is technically happening today, but I don't know if they're going to.
It's still happening. Yeah.
It's all happening. Oh,
It's all connected. Oh wait,
it's all connected. Yeah, it's a multiverse. It's all about the multiverse. And I guess there was Ant-Man and a few other things too, which we didn't talk about, but that's okay. We'll get back to all that stuff. So we did Rings of Power. We did She-Hulk. Anything else we need to talk about, or do you want to just go to picks now?
I think that's a pretty full episode. We should probably go to picks.
All right. Well, would you like to go first since you were bragging about having
Since I did my work ahead of time.
Yeah.
For once.
For once?
Yeah.
You did the reading, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. I did my homework.
Good boy.
I'm going to pick a Lego set this time.
Neat.
It is for Atari's 50th anniversary. Lego has released a replica set for the Atari 2600. But it's this. I don't know. This it took me about a week here and there to do this thing, and it's an extremely complicated set, but so rewarding and so fun to build. So not only does it have the Atari 2600 console and the buttons for turning on and off and resetting the game and all those actually work. You can slide the front of it forward, and it pops up a little scene of a kid in the 80s playing his Atari 2600. So that's really cool. The controller actually connects to the back of the console, and the joystick moves like the old one did. The only disappointing part is the button isn't an actual button. It's just a static piece. So I kind of am perplexed why they would have the joystick move the way the old one did and not have the button too. But that's a minor quibble. Also included is you build 3 game cartridges that actually go into the system like they did back in the day. Kind of what drew me to this and sold this for me is one of the game cartridges is my favorite video game of all time, and I still love it to this day, Adventure. They have a game cartridge for Adventure, Centipede, and Asteroids. And not only that, but wait, there's more. For all 3 cartridges, you can build this a mini diorama for each of them, this representative of the gameplay. So it's it's a really
That's
cool
cool.
set. It's a ton of pieces. It's like over 2,500 pieces. It may be, I think it may be the biggest, as far as pieces, the biggest Lego set I've ever built. But I
Hmm.
gotta tell you though, the console looks just, I mean, if it looks just like it's the original. It's so amazing, and the care and detail that they've put into this whole thing is pretty amazing. Oh yeah, and you also get a little kind of holder for the cartridges too. It's really really cool. This one is probably the most complex set from Lego that I've ever put together, and the biggest set. But it's very rewarding and hits you right in the nostalgia. So
Hits you right in the nostalgia sack. Like
yeah, exactly. Oof. Oh
ouch. Yeah. Now my pick is going to seem lame in comparison, but that's okay.
no, go for it.
I'm just kidding. Um, that is a great pick. Any Lego, I'm down with.
Yeah.
I love Lego. All right, so my pick this week, as you know, I probably brought this up before. I have been cooking and baking and stuff a lot
Yes.
more. My pick is something that I feel is indispensable, especially if you've never been in the kitchen much, or if you've never cooked much, or if you just like to barbecue, or if you just like to cook things, whatever. My pick is a thermometer. It's not sexy, but it's the Thermapen thermometer, one of the best instant read thermometers that exist. Basically, you pop it open, you stick it in your food, and it gives you a reading in 1 second, which is a lot. It's a very quick time, especially if you're doing something, as I discovered the other day. I was making burgers in a cast iron skillet. Sometimes the oil pops up and hits your hand. So what you don't want is to have to leave your hand in there getting the temperature of the burgers for like 20 minutes getting the temperature. What you want is it to happen in like 1 second so your hand doesn't get hot oil on it. So
Yes.
it's an amazing device. It's not cheap. It's $100, but you never have to buy another one. It's completely waterproof and it's completely indestructible. Basically, I also have a different one from the same company called a Thermopop, which is a smaller thermometer. That's only like $25. It works a little slower. It's like 3 or 4 seconds, but it's almost as good, but not as good. But this is the one that everyone recommends. This is the one that all the professional websites and the chefs and everybody always use the Thermapen. But I feel like it's indispensable, especially if you're starting off cooking and you want to know when things are done, because you can tell by the internal temperature of something, especially if you're cooking something like chicken, when you don't want people to die of salmonella. You just wait till you pop that thing in there and it says 165 and you're good to go. And then it's safe. And then no one gets sick. So
right.
it's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it's something that everyone needs if you're going to cook seriously or even semi-seriously. You should have some sort of thermometer. It doesn't have to be this one, but this is just the one that I use that it works really well. It's basically idiot-proof, which is what I need. So Thermapen One, that is my pick this week. Okay, so find the Flickcast at the usual places. Joe and I are on the socials at What Joe Writes, and I'm at Chris Yu, and also Ulrich Picks on Instagram. And of course, the Flickcast is at the Flickcast. And if you need more links for us, or for the Flickcast, I should say, you can go to Linktree, linktr.ee/the Flickcast. And you can rate and review the show at Apple or Spotify. Ratings, great. Reviews are even better. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us to shut up. And don't be so woke. Whatever, man. I'll take it. It's fine. I'll take anything at this point.
I'm telling you, we do this early in the morning for me, so I'm not necessarily completely woke when.
Well, that's a good point. That's a dark point.
we
Yeah,
do
it is
this,
really
so-
relatively early for me too. But yeah, I can't get upset about.
No.
Maybe I'm just a weird person. I just can't get upset about that kind of stuff in my fantasy shows. It doesn't matter to me. It's fine. It's a fantasy show. It doesn't have to be
Exactly.
It's not supposed to reflect real life, or it is. Whatever. It's whatever the creators intend. It's fine with me.
Yes.
So. But there's that. Anyway, anything else, Joe?
I think that's probably it.
All right, then. For Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks so much for listening.